This week on CrunchWeek, we're talking about Microsoft's big earnings miss, Path's rumors of fundraising again, and Netflix's Emmy nominations. Hey there, I'm Colleen Taylor.
I'm Ryan Lawler.
And I'm Billy Gallagher.
Welcome to CrunchWeek. It is an exciting week, as always. We're here in the thick of the summer, though, so it's a little bit of a lull.
Well, it's earnings season, though.
It is earnings season. All the big companies coming out with their earnings reports, and it's been lackluster.
Yeah.
But especially so with Microsoft.
Yeah, Microsoft and Google missed expectations. Yahoo their revenue was kind of flat, but they did better than people expected. But Microsoft was really hammered. It had its biggest stock drop in like 13 years.
Yeah, just today it totally tanked, and the biggest since I guess 2000, which is the first stock market, tech crash. So today is a really bad day for Microsoft. It's Friday right now.
Yeah. Hopefully it's not the canary in the coal mine. I hope that not all of the other tech companies will follow. Although, they pretty much shit the bed with their Surface RT. They wrote down like $900 million worth of inventory for this product. It was like one of the first, not one of the first, but they're known for their software. But it was like a big hardware push for them, and didn't work out.
It's hard to do worse than they did with the Surface.
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, no one bought it. And it was it a year ago that they kind of came out with it? That I remember I went down to Los Angeles where they had the big unveiling, and it was very secretive, and it was sort of their big event. And now a year later, they're really suffering.
But it's supposedly, like, I haven't played with it, but like people who have used it say that the hardware is beautiful. Like the hardware is awesome. But it's the software, it's like Windows 8 RT or whatever it's called that is just really bad.
Yeah, people have gotten so used to the Apple experience, I think, and not that I'm in bed with Apple or anything, but because we're all using Apple computers, which is true. But I think a lot of people, the tablet has been pioneered by Apple, and so, people weren't really used to what happened with the Surface. I guess people didn't buy it.
Even so, I have a Google Nexus tablet that I love, and it's $200. It's great. If I lose it, if I drop it in a pool of water, I'm not out, $500. So I agree people have gotten used to the Apple experience, but I think Microsoft's real problem here was that Google came out with a beautiful, cheap tablet, and those two competing factors, there's just no more room for Microsoft.
Yeah, the Surface RT wasn't really priced very well to sell, and also I think the other weird thing about this is that they have this sort of legacy PC business, and they haven't done a good job of getting into mobile. And with the operating system, it's like, even this device is kind of like a Frankenstein device. It's like half tablet, half PC, but not really good for either. So yeah, that's just sort of what I've heard.
We'll see, but again, Microsoft is not the only one with lackluster earnings this week. Google didn't do so well. Yahoo was kind of middling in a way, so maybe it was just a soft quarter overall. Next up, someone who is trying to raise some money that you wrote the big story about is Path. Again, I feel like we've talked about Path raising money in these Crunch Weeks several times. Here we are again, Path raising money. Yeah,
so sources have told us that Path is currently in the middle of raising $50 million at a $500 million valuation. Earlier, I think it was June, that we reported that they were at $1 billion valuation, which sources now say is not true. It's lower than that. But it is the $500 million is up from their Series B from last spring.
Okay, what everyone was curious about and what I'm curious about is you'd reported that Path is oversubscribed for the round, but they're still looking for a lead investor. How is that possible?
So what we're told is that, and this is from multiple sources, is that there are two contenders for the lead, and that essentially they've agreed in softer terms, but they haven't had hard term sheets come up, and so they have had interest for a higher dollar amount than $50 million, but nothing's locked in yet. So it's this weird situation where everything's a little fluid right now, but everyone's sort of made like verbal commitments.
Okay.
And I think what's interesting is in the story I talk about a strategic partner in Asia, and I think that's an interesting twist, not necessarily a twist, but an interesting player in terms of the funding round. And I think that we'll see sort of things get a little clearer in the coming weeks as they actually start signing things and lock things up.
Right. Well, I mean, speaking of Asia, like, their stickers have been really popular. I don't know how often you guys use use Path as a service, but I know at least with the people that I'm connected with, stickers have really taken off, especially since they added stickers to the comment threads, which is kind of interesting.
Are you buying stickers?
I've bought so many stickers. Like
Really?
I really have. I have probably spent, somewhere between $10 and $15 on sticker packs. Because that's what I do, but it's kind of a viral loop, right? Like you see other people using these things and communicating with them, and I never really bought into the sticker hype until I did, like literally.
Okay, I am not using stickers. I haven't really logged into Path in a while now. Are you using?
I've actually never used Path. Just kind of never took off with my friends, or nothing. I see that big actually in my age demographic and college students. You've got Facebook that has been around for so long and that is just tied to so many things as a social graph. And I really think Path as an idea is a great one for people who aren't necessarily in their early 20s. The issue for me with it is selectively culling your 150 best friends when you're at a time when you're meeting so many new people, when you're moving across the country, when you're moving jobs, and you're moving classes is really difficult. And I think for me, like if I had to choose my 150, they changing every 3 months because I'm meeting new people, I'm falling out of touch with high school friends, I'm moving to new cities and new jobs. So it's just a really tough fit, I think, for
that's interesting. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I kind of wonder, like, what the normals think of Path. Like, if there are people out there in the world outside of Silicon Valley that use this thing for real, but I don't know. It's kind of tough to know. It's like one of those things if I see my sisters sign up for it, they are 17 and 22. If I see them sign up for it, then I'll know that like they've broken through into mainstream.
But it hasn't happened yet.
No, it hasn't.
My problem with Path is every time I log in, it reminds me of that Mindy Kaling book, Is Everyone Hanging Out Without Me? Oh. And then I log into Path and I realize that yes, they are. And then I get all like emo about it. It's just interesting. It has this extra level of FOMO.
Right.
Path is really
Fear
strong for
out.
that. Fear of missing out. And so I guess I'm just insecure and I haven't logged in lately because I just don't want to know if everyone is hanging out without me. But so next, Emmy nominations happened this week, and that is not normally something that we talk about here at TechCrunch, but a tech company has had a big
Netflix got its first Emmy nominations. It received 14, which isn't a huge number. I mean, to put that into perspective, HBO had more than 100. I think Showtime had, somewhere in like the mid 30s. So it's not huge, but it's interesting because, this is a company that wasn't making original programming until, I don't know, 2 years ago. Like 2 years ago, they first announced that they were going to license House of Cards and produce it. And then just within the last year and a half, like these shows started rolling out, and now they've kind of reached a critical mass of, interesting programming. Orange is the New Black just came out. I haven't started watching it personally, but a lot of people that I talk to say it's really, really good. So that might be sort of the next show that they start receiving nominations for.
Yeah, I think I'm getting the feeling that Netflix has gone really mainstream just semi-recently. I think that even a lot of people were watching Netflix things a few years ago, or people would watch some shows that were original content there, but I feel like just in the past 6 to 12 months, it's gotten into a mainstream thing where people you talk to who previously maybe had just watched network television are now finding it easier somehow to watch Netflix stuff.
Well, I think that they have a lot more interesting stuff. I mean, this is exclusive programming that you can't find anywhere else, and up until this point, all of the stuff that they had, it was kind of like they had TV reruns and they had B movies, and now they've changed the model where, they're going to start competing with the networks. They're going to start making their own shows. And they really kind of want to be at the forefront of this next wave of television where, the streaming players are also making like serious original programming.
It's an exciting time because nice programming can be made for a much smaller budget than was possible even 5 years ago.
Right. But that's not what Netflix is doing. Like,
Let's
be clear about that. Like House of Cards has, like an HBO-sized budget.
Okay.
So it's not like, they're skimping on the production values. I think what's different for them is, they're able to go straight to the consumer instead of having to go to a cable company and get the network, distributed through Comcast or Time Warner Cable or any of the other ones.
And it was really interesting. I mean, I think Arrested Development was a perfect example, just because it had that name brand before, like House of Cards or Orange is the New Black, where you hear everyone talking about it, but not as many people have seen it. I mean, Arrested Development, at least for people I hang out with, was like appointment viewing. I mean, it came online and people were binge watching it, and 20 people gathering around TV like it was a sports game live or the season premiere of a huge show. So it was cool to see that network, appointment viewing not on the TV.
And it's also kind of changed the model. I mean, when you talk about Arrested Development, this is a show that, didn't have a big enough audience for broadcast, but, it works online. But also there are shows where, they're being kept alive because they're being licensed to Netflix. So like The Killing was an example where, they weren't going to have a season 3 until they were able to sell to Netflix, and sort of that guaranteed them new programming.
Gosh, I always love talking about this stuff because you know so much about it. You are a resident expert. I think that's all we have time for this week. So thanks for watching CrunchWeek, and tune in 7 days where we'll be back.